Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 10 player props to bet. And we have to recalibrate this week. The books are catching up a little bit, but let's stay 2 steps ahead. First prop, I'm going Jameer Gibbs. Longest rush over 15.5 yards. If it moves up to 16 or 17, you're good. I just think this Texans run defense is better than people think. So you would say, Lawson, you got to lay off of it. But Jameer Gibbs is so explosive at this point. The Lions offense is so imperious at this point. You just have to go with it. And when you got an explosive player like Gibbs, who's playing at an all-time peak, I'm going to run with it. There isn't a lot of science here. Give me Gibbs over 15.5 for the longest rush yard. Next prop, we got Garret Wilson over 66.5 receiving yards. I get it. It's getting up to that 70 threshold that I don't like to touch. Every single week we go Garret Wilson over. Every single week it hits. And we look at a Cardinals defense, and yes, John Gannon has coached these guys up. He's one of the best defensive minds in this league, and I'm not joking. But they don't have an elite pass rush. I don't even think they have an average pass rush. So I think Rodgers is going to have time to purvey. We're seeing Davante Adams eat up coverage. I also think the main weakness of this Cardinals defense is their secondary. I think you can really get at them going down the field. And can I say something, man? Is there a better receiver in this league who's trending more upwards than Garret Wilson at this point? I'm not saying he's the best receiver in the league, but he is catching rhythm. He is catching fire. I'm going to keep riding it until the wheels fall off. Next prop, we got Tyrone Tracy over 72.5 rush yards. This is really high, but we're seeing Singletary phased out. We're seeing a Giants offensive line that can't pass block, but they're also run blocking. In the first half, at the end of the first half, Daniel Jones had like 30 yards passing. And I think we're going to see Tracy get a lot of work. I also like the over 16.5 rush yards. Coop likes that on the Discord. 16.5 rush attempts. But I think Tracy goes over here. I think he has a big game. Think he gets into the high 80s, low 90s. Panthers can't stop the run. That front seven is still decimated. Yes, the Panthers are getting healthier, but that defense struggles against the run. The strength of the Panthers is their secondary. Give me Tracy over 72.5 rush yards. I also like his anytime touchdown of plus 105. Next prop, we got Drake Maye over 31.5 pass attempts. Listen, I think there's a possibility that the Patriots won't be able to run the ball at all. That offensive line is porous. When the Patriots have been at their best, it's Drake Maye ad-libbing, Drake Maye throwing the ball. And this game could turn into a shootout. This Patriots defense isn't what you guys think. They're one of the worst defenses in the league. I can just see this game turning into a shootout. If you think the Bears are going to blow out the Patriots, that's fine. The 31.5 makes a lot of sense. And I think in his last 4 games, he had 33, 34, and 36 pass attempts. Give me Drake Maye over 31.5 pass attempts. Next prop, Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals. Listen, I know the field goals aren't the best, but they pay out. Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals. I'm not going to wax superlative about a field goal kicker. It's just bet Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals. Next prop, we got Khalil, Shakie against the Colts, and this Colts secondary is bad. Give me Shakie over 52.5 receiving yards. I know Cooper's going to be back. I know Kincaid's really good, but I think Shakie has the best matchup of any Bills wide receiver against the Colts pass rush that isn't all that great. They are getting better now that DeForest Buckner's back, but this secondary is porous, and I think Shakie goes off. Also with Shakie, you get that added little bit of security. If they do shut him down, he can get a 40, 50, 60-yard completion in one go from Josh Allen. Give me Shakie over 52.5. I love getting against this Colts defense. It's been rather profitable. Next prop, we got Sam Darnold, Sunshine, under 30.5 pass attempts. Listen, we saw the Vikings go pass heavy, especially in that first half against the Colts. Yes, there were some good results, but there was also some ugly results. And I know the Jags front seven is pretty good against the run. They're going to fight. They're going to stay in their run fits. But I think the Vikings go run heavy here. Now that Mac Jones is starting, the game flow makes complete sense to me. I just think this can turn into a blowout, and I thought this would be a close game if you had Trevor Lawrence. But Mac Jones, that weak noodle arm with a Jags offense that can't really pass protect, it just seems like a disaster. It seems like a lot of 3-and-outs, and it seems like the Vikings getting off to an early lead and running and pounding this rock away. Give me Darnold under 30.5 pass attempts. Next prop. We got Deandre Swift over 71.5 rush yards. I hate this one, but I got to get against the Patriots defense. I mentioned it earlier, but this Patriots defense is bottom 5 in the NFL. You can look at the metrics, but you can just look at the eye tape we get every single week, and it's absolute brutality. And I think the Bears need to run the ball. They need to establish the run. They need to take decisions out of Caleb Williams' arm, and Caleb Williams just isn't confident. And I feel like Swift is still a top 10 running back in this league. Has he had his best year? No. But this Bears offensive line needs to go forward because they're certainly not good at pass blocking. Give me Swift over 71.5. I don't like the fundamentals of it, but I like getting against the Patriots defense. Next prop, Najee Harris with the Steelers against the no-names, over 62.5 rush yards. I love this one. And you always worry about Warren stealing carries, but I feel like this is the best year of Najee Harris's career. And this is Commanders' defense. They're quick, they're versatile, they attack you in a lot of different ways, but their big weakness is run defense, and they just can't seem to figure it out. I don't think Dan Quinn really knows how to patch it, but I think we see a lot of Najee Harris. I think we see him get the ball 20-plus times, and I think that is an advantageous matchup. And it seems like there's been 2 or 3 games this year where Najee Harris has been held down because that Steelers run blocking unit isn't the best. But we always see him break one over 20. And at 62.5, I feel like this is a steal. Next prop, we got Tank Dell over 64.5 receiving yards. Listen, Tank Dell's got to hit eventually. I mean, we know Nico Collins had his practice window open. Does that mean he's going to play Sunday against Detroit? They certainly need him. But one thing the Texans desperately need is Tank Dell involved early and often. They need to throw screens to him. They need to work him down the field, because if he's not involved, I could see the Lions making this ugly. There isn't a lot of science. The Texans can't protect, especially in the interior. But eventually something has to give. They got a good offensive coordinator. They got a good quarterback. And you know what Detroit's going to give you? They're going to give you press man-to-man, and they're going to try to breathe on your receivers. I feel like Tank Dell is a phenomenal route runner. He can create space, and if there's a game for him to go off, it has to be this one. It has to happen. Give me Tank Dell over 64.5. Last prop. We got Darnell Mooney over 56.5. It might be up to 59.5 now. Depends on your book. but I'm looking to get against the Saints defense. I'm looking to get with Kirk Cousins. I'm looking to get with the vibe that is the Atlanta Falcons offense. I know people say this is a trap game. I know people are stealing my phrase and saying new coach bounce for the Saints. I do think we see a Saints defense that is down to fight, but there's only so much you can do with Carr in the 3 and outs, with a front 7 that is injured. Cam Jordan hasn't gotten a sack in a calendar year, and Darnell Mooney is slowly churning into Kirk's favorite target. I know that sounds crazy. Give me Darnell Mooney over 56.5. I also like a Brian Robinson B-Rob for the Commanders anytime touchdown. I feel like there's great odds on that. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. The best gambling show on the internet. Let's get this money, people.